Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Psalm 24 and verse 1, I'll be reading from the King James Version. It says, "The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein." That doesn't leave much out, does it? He says, the earth is the Lord's. That is, this this earth that we live on, the structure itself belongs to the Lord. The fullness thereof, everything that is on the earth, belongs to God. And then the world and they that dwell therein, the people on the earth that dwell in the earth, belong to the Lord. And again, that doesn't leave anything out. It all belongs to God. And that may seem like a simple truth. It may seem like something that we all take for granted, especially those who believe in God as the creator of all things. Of course, if he created all things belong to him. But we ought to allow that truth to really saturate our mind and our heart. Because if we really think about it, if we allow that truth to really be at the forefront of our minds, I think it would help us in knowing how to relate to the earth and to everything on the earth and to other people and even ourselves. When we recognize that all of this doesn't belong to us, and if we realize that all of this really was here long before we were and could possibly be here way after we're gone, it changes our perspective. It changes your perspective when you realize that you live on an earth that doesn't belong to you. You perhaps have things on this earth that really ultimately don't belong to you, and that you yourself doesn't really belong to you, and other people don't belong to you. When we can get that into our minds and into our hearts, it changes the way that we relate to these various things. It's kind of like a person who house sits. Particularly teenagers oftentimes are called upon to house sit. Maybe a person goes out of town, they're going to be gone for a few days, maybe they have animals, and they just want someone there to kind of watch over things, feed the animals, make sure everything is good. And they might live at that house temporarily. They're put in charge over the things because they're there to keep everything in order, but everything doesn't belong to them. As they're there and as they're house sitting, they're doing so recognizing that they're sitting on a couch that doesn't belong to them. They're watching a TV that doesn't belong to them. And even though the owners might have given them full reign on the refrigerator doesn't belong to them. And just think of the different mindset a person has when they're living or visiting another person's house temporarily. Yes, they've been placed in charge of it, but at the same time, it doesn't belong to them. And that's something that mankind has gotten wrong for a very long time. We have been placed in charge of God's creation. That's very clear in Genesis chapter 1. He's given us dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the beasts and the cattle, and everything that dwells on the earth. God has given us charge over these things, but we shouldn't translate that in saying that it all belongs to us. Likewise, God has given us a body. He's given us a physical body to dwell in. But that doesn't mean that this physical body belongs to us. It's been given to us temporarily for us to live in. Yes, we have a will in which we can make our bodies do what we want them to do, but still our bodies don't belong to us. And we could even say even our own innermost being doesn't belong to us. Again, that's a gift from God as well. And that should change the way that we relate. It should say then that I'm going to be careful the way that I care for the earth, the way that I care for the things that are on the earth, the way that I care for other people as I recognize that they don't belong to me, they belong to the Lord. It changes the way that we view ourselves and the way that we act and the way that we conduct ourselves, to know that I don't belong to myself, I belong to the Lord. When we realize that everything around us belongs to the Lord and is ultimately His, it changes our perspective. And hopefully it propels us into being very careful in the way that we interact with the earth, the way that we interact with other people, and the way that we conduct ourselves, even within ourselves. And hopefully if we can just have this truth impressed on our minds, we'll be all the more positioned then to live a life that's pleasing to the Lord and to do things according to the way that He's ordered things and the way that He has directed things to go. And so as we read Psalm 24, particularly verse 1, let's have that impressed on our minds. You know, we're here on God's turf. We're here, consuming the things that belong to the Lord. We're living a life that truly and ultimately comes from the Lord and will eventually go to the Lord. And let that play out. Let that play out in the way that we conduct ourselves. So here's some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.